Hidden thoughts, pursuit of desires, learned secrets, polished words, sacrificed gains, realized plans. Changli is a counselor serving the Jinzhou magistrate and former secretary general in the capital. Shrouded in flames, she's fated to burn brightly until her final embers. With her fiery determination and strategic mindset, she rises to power, always thinking ahead to reach her ultimate goal. Beneath the whispers. People who visit the city hall lately rarely see the legendary counselor Changli as they would report. Although Counselor Changli never has been a public figure, as the most trusted aide to the Jinzhou magistrate, she is known to everyone in Jinzhou. However, there are varied and strange, restless rumors about her. It is said that Counselor Changli, during her time in the capital, proposed the renovation of the shelter homes across Huanglong to provide a better home for the refugees who lost their homes in the lament's aftermath. She also pushed for the reduction of commercial taxes in Jinzhou and allocate food and funds to better relieve Jinzhou from the aftermath of the battle beneath the crescent. It is said that as soon as Counselor Changli arrived at the city hall, she effortlessly resolved two bandit forces that had been entrenched around Jinzhou for a long time. Just a conversation and an obvious trap were enough to make the two forces suspicious of and fight each other until neither was a threat anymore. It is said that Counselor Changli did not become a counselor after the Sentinel chose the Jinzhou magistrate, but she had long volunteered to come to Jinzhou to teach the young Jinsi and to help her take over the power that was too heavy for a child.
Is that true? The version I heard said those were actions carried out by the previous Secretary General, and she was only demoted to the border because she offended the power that was, right?
Well, from what I heard, she became a direct disciple of Master Xuanmiao and was recommended by the previous Secretary General. Her orations and debates throughout the realm have convinced all the great minds of our country. How could she be a flatterer?
What are you talking about? I heard she's the descendant of a great hermit, and she came to Jinzhou because her family needs a voice in the power centers.
As people gossiped about her, Changli remained unfazed. When she passed by those whispering behind her back, her gaze gently but firmly silenced their words. Rumors spread like wildfire about the new Jinzhou magistrate chosen by the Sentinel. A young girl, seemingly not yet of age, held this powerful position. Some whispered that Changli had too much influence and sought to overthrow the current magistrate before taking over herself. After the ceremony, Changli gave up power to Jinsi and became her counselor. In 3 years, life improved for everyone in Jinzhou, and they were grateful to the magistrate. However, nobody knew how much Changli helped behind the scenes. Those who have met Changli all say that she always has a gentle smile and treats everyone from generals to soldiers equally. But when she is alone, she always has a kind of awe-inspiring aura that turns potential visitors away.
Last time I met Counselor Changli at the patrol station, she seemed super interested in the courtyard trees, for some reason. I thought she had important duties to attend to, but she just spent the whole afternoon watching ants.
And then?
Then a wanted suspect suddenly turned himself in. We were initially wary, thinking it was a trap, but when Counselor Changli appeared, the villain became visibly frightened and confessed everything, even old cases that were still unsolved. It was the biggest case of my career.
What about Counselor Changli?
She left at some point. We didn't even notice. She really is an inscrutable person.
Master and Minister. Before becoming Jinsi's tutor, Changli had only met her once when she was a young girl. While in Jinzhou, Changli once heard chanting from a nearby room while walking inside the city hall. A young girl sat amid stacks of books, struggling to grasp theories beyond her years.
He who can't see the cause of order or chaos shall not make law. But how can I see the very roots of everything? How can I gain such insights?
While she chanted, the girl could not help but fall muddled. That hard-working, petite figure reminded Changli of how she used to struggle in a similarly desperate way to swallow as much knowledge as possible, trying to become an adult she wasn't. She followed the impulse to lean forward and answered the little girl's doubts.
Thank you, madam. You have enlightened me.
The girl expressed her gratitude word by word with her immature voice. After a moment of careful hesitation, she looked up again and asked,
Then how should I become a good magistrate and bring order to the city?
Why this question?
The people of Jinzhou have fallen victim to warfare. I want to bring them peace and prosperity.
That is no easy task.
True, but I must try everything I can.
Peace and prosperity.
As Changli gazed into the girl's eyes, she saw determination and strength, like little sparkles of starlight.
Very well. Then I will aid you in fulfilling your wish, she declared.
Eventually, the girl became the magistrate of Jinzhou, appointed by its sentinel. As Jinxi works tirelessly at City Hall, Changli remains by her side, answering questions and offering advice whenever needed. To most, heroic tales are too grand and inconsequential. They only value simple comforts like a warm meal and restful sleep as ways to improve life.
A magistrate shouldn't get lost in bureaucracy, but rather engage with the people,
Changli warned Jinxi.
Yes, my teacher.
Jinxi obeyed. Through the traditional Jinzhou wish-making rituals, Jinxi managed to build a connection with the citizens and work towards a thriving, empathetic city. Changli watches as Jinxi is crowded by excited people whose faces are no longer covered by gloom and fatigue, but true delight and gratitude. Now that a wise governor has emerged in Jinzhou, neither the people nor the capital would doubt Jinxi's competency.
Do as you wish. I will support you,
Changli said as she sowed seeds of knowledge and lit up Jinxi's path ahead. The torch set the sky ablaze, illuminating the future of this young girl. Despite Jinxi's lingering childishness, she knew this girl would one day become a capable magistrate, protecting every inch of Jinzhou. Just as her master had done for her, she would guide her student and light the way forward. Lone Feather in the Alley. The owner of Yanqing bookstore, Changqing, recently encountered two strange incidents. The first involves his business. With so many to be offered from the vast and rich land of Huanglong, items popular in Jinzhou are never there to stay. Recently, paper books have fallen out of fashion and the local bookstore has suffered. However, business has unexpectedly picked up in the past few days, and Changqing's bookstore has seen an influx of customers. Many of the customers at the bookstore appeared to be officials from the central court, judging by their attire. When the puzzled Changqing asked them about it, most mentioned that the Secretary General had recommended this particular place. The Secretary General? Although he knew there was a new Secretary General in office, Changqing couldn't fathom why someone like him, a humble bookstore owner, would be tied to such high-ranking individuals. The second strange incident revolves around the neglected facade of Yanqing bookstore. Under the weight of depression, it had been left unattended for too long. Even the grocer next door advised Changqing to repair the gate before it deterred potential customers.
Changqing, you should fix your gate. If it gets worse, no one will ever visit your store. Don't worry, although my store may not be as fancy as those in the capital, I have the greatest collection of antique and classic texts. People will surely find out.
While he might have appeared confident, Changqing was uncertain about renovating the old store himself. He considered hiring someone during the current boom in business. The next day, he arrived at the store to find that the facade had miraculously transformed overnight. The plaque and gate were gleaming, proudly displaying Yanqing Bookstore. A note on the counter read,
"In gratitude for the bookstore owner's kindness, I took the liberty to do some renovation work as a thank you gesture."
The note was not signed, but the vermilion-colored feather pattern on the paper seemed somewhat familiar. Changqing held the note and slowly sat down, falling into memory. More than a decade ago, the bookstore was thriving with customers coming and going. One day, a little girl around 8 or 9 years old started sneaking in and spending whole afternoons reading books. Initially, Changqing didn't mind when customers read without purchasing, as long as it didn't damage the books or affect business. But after several days of declining sales and fewer customers, he grew concerned.
So hot! It's too hot in here! I can't stand anymore! Let's go somewhere else!
Despite the early autumn weather, the room was unusually sultry. Changqing wiped his forehead and searched carefully, eventually finding the little girl curled up under a bookshelf, completely engrossed in her book. In front of her, a fire was floating, heating up the whole premise as the girl was absorbed into the world of the books. The sight filled Changqing with rage.
What are you doing, kid? You're burning my store!
The girl was startled by a shout, immediately snuffing out the fire. Changqing watched as the page she held tightly turned yellow, as if it would catch fire soon.
You are!
The girl hurriedly threw the book away. Her flushed face revealed a mix of panic and guilt as she surveyed the charred pages.
Sorry, it's too dark here. I just wanted to make it brighter.
As Changqing saw his beloved book being damaged, he couldn't help but remember the recent decline in sales. His face darkened as he grabbed a broom from the side of the bookshelf and prepared to strike the girl responsible. However, she was surprisingly quick for her slender frame. When Changqing pursued her out of the bookstore, all he could see was her fiery red hair disappearing in the bustling market. He stood at the gate, fuming and bewildered.
Never show your face again!
What's wrong? The grocer next door came out with a smile and asked, Isn't that the little girl who can control fire?
You know her? She almost burned down my store!
Hey, she's a good girl, I kid you not. Helped me out a few days ago, just to get some steamed buns. It's a pity she had to walk here alone, so young and all. I heard her hometown was attacked by a TD outbreak and no one made it. Not sure how she managed to escape.
Why didn't you tell me earlier?
Well, you didn't ask. But now that this happened, she probably won't come back again. The little girl disappeared down the alley, and sounds of children playing drifted over from the neighboring walls. Changqing gazed at the book lying on the ground, unsure of what to feel. Radiance's return. Business at Yanqing bookstore had returned to normal, with a steady stream of book lovers, but the little girl who used to read quietly between the bookshelves was nowhere to be seen. To Changqing's surprise, the girl returned a week later.
This is all my money. I swear I earned it. Sorry for the books I burned. Only you have the books I'm looking for. Please, may I?
The girl bit her lip, timidly placing the scattered shell credits from her hands on the counter. Her petite figure was not even as tall as the counter, so only half of her head was visible. She was on her tiptoes, her body slightly trembling, but her bright, somewhat stubborn eyes were still fixed on him and wouldn't evade.
All right.
After all the days, Changqing's anger had long since subsided. He waved his hand.
Go, take your money and don't disturb my business.
The girl bowed and left without a word. She kept stopping and looking back as she walked away. Changqing sighed heavily, watching her frail figure and worn-out clothes in silence. He rose, grabbed the lamp, and gave it to the girl with the store's spare key.
Take it. Don't use fire for light anymore. Come read at night when there are no customers. I'm not letting you read for free. You'll need to open the shop for me in the morning.
Thank you, sir.
It was his first glimpse of the girl's innocent, beaming smile. After their initial encounter, the girl became a regular at Changqing's bookstore. As arranged, she would only come in the evenings and spend her time solely absorbed in reading. In the mornings, when Changqing returned, he always found the store immaculately clean and organized. During colder days, the girl also visited during daylight hours. Despite the wintry gusts outside, the room was filled with a cozy warmth. Though Changqing occasionally glanced at her reading material, he could only make out books on literature and history. The girl's calm demeanor belied her youth, only animated when lost in her books. One day, the girl vanished. Rumors spread. Was she taken by tacit discords? Or did she succumb to injuries on her journey to the capital city? Seeing the flame pattern on the letter, Changqing felt a spark of hope. Could she still be alive?
Excuse me?
Changqing's reminiscing was interrupted by a tall, elegant lady standing at the counter. Her soft eyes and flame-colored hair, like mythical bird's feathers, gently swayed in the wind. She placed some shell credits on the counter and asked with a smile,
Sir, only you have the books I'm looking for. Please, may I borrow them?
She had transformed from a delicate girl to a confident young secretary general, the talk of the town. As the sun rose and filled the room with morning light, the aged bookshop owner chuckled and gestured for her to continue reading.
Go on, read it, even if you don't pay. I doubt I can force you now.
The myth-laden savior. Master Xuan Miao had been looking for a certain person. Young Changli accompanied her aged mentor across the landscapes of Huanglong. Though he was initially reluctant to mentor another student, the revered elder dedicated himself to passing on every ounce of wisdom to her in their limited time together. Master Xuan Miao was a devoted Weiqi player. During breaks on their weary journey, they would settle by the roadside to engage in intense matches. He utilized these moments not just for play, but also as teaching opportunities for Changli, imparting wisdom on strategic thinking and power dynamics within each move. Sometimes he would analyze an unfinished game of Weiqi with her, but he always seemed somewhat dissatisfied with her responses. It was during these times that he would mention an old friend of his, hinting at a quest to reconnect with this individual through Changli's tutelage. Despite Changli's curiosity about this mysterious person's identity and location, her mentor would simply shake his head and tell her,
The time has not yet come.
On the day he felt his final moments approaching, he entrusted Changli with his Weiqi game record and his cherished journal. With solemnity, he told his devoted disciple, "In this unfinished game, you shall find the ultimate truth." And so, carrying on the legacy of Master Shan Miao, Changli embarked on her path ahead. A celestial being descended, wielding the limitless might of the universe, embracing the inaugural echo within. The enigmatic figure with eyes of gold amidst swirling clouds and waning lights, steadfastly by the side of Sentinel Zhue in a bond of intimate camaraderie. Following the notes in her late mentor's journal, she continued her search, uncovering traces of that enigmatic figure in various unexpected places. At times, it was the captivating tales spun by seasoned storytellers. Elsewhere, it was mere slivers gleaned from ancient archives. Like a silent guardian, this person acted as a sturdy anchor in turbulent seas, leading humanity through the wreckage of past calamities towards a hopeful horizon. The subtle imprints they left behind wove an almost imperceptible yet unyielding thread that bridged vast stretches of time and history, far surpassing the ordinary span of mortal lives. She had been told that the signs of that person's arrival would be impossible to miss. That said person had the power to truly change the world. However, her vision of a peaceful and prosperous world required more than mere hopeful anticipation of a savior. Understanding that achieving her dreams necessitated acquiring substantial power and influence, she embarked on a journey through diverse lands, immersing herself in wisdom and persisting through every challenge without faltering to meet the expectations placed upon her. Upon assuming the esteemed role of Secretary General, she at last gained entry into the revered Grand Libraries. Within the vast expanse of knowledge stored within their walls, she uncovered a pivotal revelation, a clue leading her to Jinzhou, a border city in Huanglong. From then on, everything unfolded precisely as Sentinel Zhue predicted. The person she had been searching for emerged in Jinzhou and protected the city from a reviving Thermodian. The once nebulous being from ancient records and myths now solidified into a clear and distinct presence within her mind. On the day of their foretold encounter, she returned to Jinzhou from Mingting, the capital city of Huanglong. She witnessed the esteemed guest of Jinzhou waiting at the ferry port in the rain, looking uncertain. Following the prophecies of Zhue, she had faith that their paths would converge at the right moment. And that awaited moment was upon her. Concealing a whirlwind of emotions behind her gaze, she advanced towards them with measured steps. Using her paper umbrella adorned with a spirit bird motif, she gently angled it to provide cover from the rain as their eyes locked in a wordless exchange. The sole audible presence was the hushed melody of raindrops tapping against her umbrella. She smiled and softly asked, "Are you trapped here by the rain?" Firmament Weiqi Manual. A battered Weiqi manual documenting the legendary games left by a peculiar visitor at Mount Firmament. The pages have yellowed over the long years and dog-eared from countless readings. This manuscript once accompanied its owner through many perilous and lonely paths. Now it has been restored and rebound, with new pages added, ready to record new games. Now that the worthy opponent she has been seeking stands before her, another historic game to be remembered and studied for centuries shall take place. As long as the players remain, the pages will continue to be filled. Flame-soaked cloth. A fabric of unknown material, soft to the touch and said to be fireproof. After being cleansed by flames, it becomes even cleaner and whiter, like freshly fallen snow. The plants required to weave this fabric went extinct during the lament and are now almost impossible to obtain, making every remaining piece extremely precious. After the appointment ceremony, the new magistrate of Jinzhou presented it as a gift to her esteemed teacher. Blaze Feather. A pair of feathers formed by Changli's flames. One of the pair has been gifted to a distinguished guest of Jinzhou, while the other Changli keeps close to herself. Though they blaze brightly, the feathers only radiate a gentle warmth when cradled in one's palms, reflecting Changli's near impeccable mastery of her Forte. Like her robe, the feather is entirely made of flames. In bedtime stories once told to a young girl, a fireborn phoenix would bestow its most precious tail feather upon the person it held most dear. Forte Examination Report. Resonance Ability, Eternal Blaze. Resonance Evaluation Report, Evaluation Basis, Resonance Assessment 2326-G. The precise timing of Resonator Changli's awakening remains uncertain. Reports indicate that Resonator Changli displayed early signs of fire manipulation during her childhood, often struggling to control it.
However, as Changli matured into adulthood, the frequency and stability of these manifestations notably improved. Resident at Changli's task mark is situated on her lower chest. Post-awakening examinations have identified specific alterations in her physical attributes. These include the gradual fading of hair color at the tips and feather-like burn marks on her left arm, emitting a fiery glow influenced by her Forte. The resident spectrum pattern of Changli mirrors the characteristics of fire, displaying a robust syntony reaction in testing. Despite the exact trigger for awakening remaining uncertain, no other sample with resident spectrum pattern similarity exceeding 60% has been identified. Resident Changli's Forte aligns closely with the mythical spirit bird from Huanglong folklore, possibly influenced by her early immersion in tales related to this legendary creature. Resident Changli possesses the unique ability to compress flames into delicate feather-shaped projectiles. Her Forte, once unleashed, has the power to create scorching fires of exceptional heat capable of devastating a large area. A telltale sign that her Forte is active is the emergence of a lone fiery feather with an eye-like pattern on her forehead, which she describes as the mind's eye. Analysis of test samples reveal a non-convergent Bell's curve with a stable rise. Occasional fluctuations within normal range have been detected. Therefore, Changli is identified as a natural resonator. Overclock diagnostic report. Resident Changli's waveform graph shows elliptical fluctuations. The pattern time domain is stable with no abnormal waveform. Resident criticality, high. Resident Changli's frequency displays high stability and the risk of overclocking is minimal. Resident Changli has a documented history of overclocking. Maximum overclocking rating, negligible. According to Changli's report, she experienced overclocking during her childhood due to prolonged exposure to a hazardous environment. This caused her Forte to go into an explosive state multiple times for self-preservation or the protection of others, resulting in a permanent burn mark on her left arm. However, as she grew up and gained more control over her Forte, the frequency fluctuation stabilized and the burn mark did not worsen. There may be irreversible physical damage from the Forte burst, which could potentially shorten Resident Changli's lifespan. Regular physical checkups are recommended, while psychological counseling is not currently necessary.